/n IMG 5276 /n IMG 5277 IMG 5278 IMG 5279 IMG 5280 IMG 5281 IMG 5282 space to amend the offer or include other conditions or contingencies. To protect the buyer from unauthorized changes by the seller, once the seller accepts the offer, the buyer must also acknowledge the seller's acceptance under Section 32. This date plus 20. Buyer's receipt of acceptance 32. Receipt is hereby acknowledged by buyer of the seller's acceptance of buyer's offer. In the event the acceptance was subject to changes from buyer's offer, the buyer agrees to accept said changes, as set forth in paragraph 29 above. Buyer signature, print name completes the purchase agreement. Good job. When you start working with a brokerage firm, your broker will walk you through their state-specific form in more detail. Once you become an expert, you will want to help your clients to understand each section. This takes time to walk them through it, but it's well worth the effort. It will go a long way to reducing your liability. 197 /n IMG 5283 /n A standard purchase agreement functions in the present. If it is signed today, it is valid today, and the buyers will try their hardest to close on the property tomorrow. But life is not always that cut and dried. Maybe the buyer hasn't been able to sell their first home before she found their new dream home. Now she is stuck between a rock and a hard place. She cannot afford 2 mortgages, but she does not want this perfect property to slip away. The solution is to use an option contract. An option contract is a type of purchase contract that gives the buyer the right to purchase a property for an agreed-upon price within a certain time frame. It locks the seller into a unilateral contract, but it does not obligate the buyer to complete the purchase. This means that, if the seller accepts the option contract, they cannot sell the property to another buyer until either the buyer waives their right to purchase, or the option contract expires. Sellers have a strong aversion against option contracts, and for obvious reasons. Some option contracts may only last for 60 to 90 days, if the buyer is in the closing process on their first home. Other options could last for 6 months to a year. This often happens with commercial properties and large investment-grade parcels, and is less common in the residential field. If the option agreement ties the hands of the seller for a lengthy period, the buyer will pay an option fee, which is the consideration. If the buyer does not exercise their option, then the seller keeps the option fee. If the buyer, who is also called the optionee, exercises their option, then a purchase agreement is created between the buyer and the seller based on the pre-agreed upon purchase price. This now legally locks both the seller and the buyer into the purchase. If you become involved in a property with an option, you will want to work closely with your broker and advise your client to seek the advice of a real estate attorney who is experienced in option contracts. 198 /n IMG 5284 /n A lease option is like an option contract. A lease option, which is also more formally called a lease with an option to buy, is a type of contract whereby the tenant has the option to purchase the property at the end of the lease agreement. A tenant who wants to become a homeowner but is lacking a down payment or is unable to presently qualify for a mortgage will typically seek a lease option if the property owner is willing. A tenant enters into a lease agreement and pays market rent. In addition to the lease, there will also be a lease option agreement. This will stipulate an amount above and beyond the market rent that goes towards the down payment on the purchase price. Many lease option contracts also require that the tenant pay an upfront fee, which may or may not go towards the down payment. After a set period passes, the tenant has the option to purchase the property, but she is not obligated to purchase it. If she decides not to complete the purchase, all money spent during the lease period, including all lease option payments, is forfeited.